Sir,
Mike, you're too slow, Mike.
ನಾನು ఇంకా మైక్ వచ్చేస్తుంది
Good afternoon. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the Arjun K. Sengupta 6th Memorial Lecture. To begin with, I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor C. Rajkumar, to provide the welcome address and a tribute to the legacy of Arjun K. Sengupta.
Thank you, Kaveri. A very good afternoon to all of you. It's indeed my proud privilege to welcome all of you to this Dr. Arjun K. Sengupta 6th Memorial Lecture. Before I formally give a bit of a reflections on this day and what we are doing today, I want to take this moment to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest and speaker, Mr. K.J. Alphonse, former Union Minister for Tourism, Government of India, a very distinguished parliamentarian, public intellectual, civil servant, and who has had a very distinguished career in public policy making as well as implementing. So thank you very much, Mr. Alphonse, for accepting our invitation and to be here. I'm not going to talk about the work of Dr. Arjun Sengupta. I think many of us are fully familiar with it. He wore many hats. He was one of those earliest individuals, at least in the field of economics, to combine the field of economics with law and human rights and understanding and appreciating the integrated development of issues surrounding human rights and development, and made significant contributions to that field. He worked and made immense contributions as an United Nations independent expert on extreme poverty and human rights, as well as the special rapporteur on right to development as well. For all the students of public policy who are here and students of other disciplines, I think I would strongly encourage you to read some of his reports. They are, besides being intellectually rigorous, they are extremely thoughtful reflections about the debate surrounding the issue of human rights and development, but more importantly, how the transition and transformation of a hardcore economist to the field of human rights is quite an extraordinary transition. So I invite you to read it, and I'm so happy to see another colleague and very close friend of Professor Sengupta, Professor Stephen Marks. Steve Marks, as you know, spent over 2 decades or more at the Harvard School of Public Health and now joined us as the Dean of the 12th School of the University, Jindal School of Public Health and Human Development. And I must say that Arjun Sengupta was deeply inspired by the work of Professor Marks, especially in relation to the intersections of human rights and development. And both Steve and Arjun worked very closely in various capacities, including within the UN Office of the High Commission of Human Rights, but also when Arjun Sengupta was an adjunct professor at the Harvard School of Public Health. They collaborated, and of course I had the privilege to meet both of them in some of those collaborative endeavors. So in a way, the work of Arjun Sengupta is a very, very unique example of interdisciplinarity, how scholars have the responsibility to get out of the comfort zone to look at other disciplines, and how it can significantly impact the very future of those disciplines. It was an example of it. But listen, there's more to Arjun Sengupta than all of what he has done. I want to mention to you that we were very fortunate early on that when at a critical time when Arjun Sengupta had already become the chairperson of the National Commission for Enterprises in the Unorganized Sector, and several amazing reports were being produced by that organization, this university was being built. And way back in 2008, I invited him to join the board of management of O.P. Jindal Global University, which he agreed. He sat as a member of the board of management. And around that time, when we were building the campus and actually recruiting faculty and the process of admitting students, just around 2008, I invited him to become one of our founding faculty members. And quite remarkably, he accepted to become a professor at our university. And at that time, later he became a member of parliament. And so as an MP, he had to seek an approval through a joint parliamentary committee process at that time for taking up an appointment of this kind. And that process, of course, took much longer than what we thought. And all of that culminated in, unfortunately, his health situation deteriorated, and we never could have the privilege of having Professor Sengupta as a part of our faculty. But he will always be in our memories. He left a very strong imprint on so many of us. His intellect, his humor, his commitment towards institution building, his deep commitment to addressing the cause of marginalized, downtrodden, disempowered, and indeed the poor, using tools that are available as a policymaker, as a member of parliament, as a scholar, as a researcher. So we are very fortunate that we were able to have spent some special moments with him, at least at the latter part of his life. Of course, Steve has had a longer association with Arjun Sengupta. Professor Marx also delivered one of the memorial lectures of Arjun Sengupta, and we've had very distinguished people, including Thomas Pogge of Yale and others, Swami Agnivesh, who had delivered the lecture before. Today we are very fortunate that we have with us Mr. K.J. Alphonse. Just similar to Professor Sengupta, Mr. Alphonse has also been as wearing multiple hats and has not confined to a single discipline when it comes to his thought process at work. And we are indeed eagerly looking forward to hearing his lecture. I want to end by saying that I want to thank the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, as well as its dean and other faculty members, for hosting the 6th Arjun Sengupta Memorial Lecture. We look forward to the discussions that we have after the lecture itself. Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite the Dean of the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy, Professor R. Sudarshan, to introduce our speaker today, Mr. K.J. Alphonse.
Thank you, Kaveri. And thank all of you for joining this annual lecture in memory of Professor Dr. Arjun Sengupta. We are very happy that we have a distinguished personality to deliver this lecture. And so welcome to Mr. K.J. Alphonse. If you wonder what KJ is, it stands for Kannantanam Joseph Alphonse. He's a man of many parts, joined the Indian Administrative Service, but one of the inspiring things he mentions, which I've read in newspapers, this is the first time I'm meeting him, but he's the kind of person that when you first meet him, gives you the feeling that you've known him all along. You've known him for a very long time. He has a gregarious instinct and an instinctive ability to strike a friendship. So I remember reading that he's written somewhere that he did very poorly in school. And many of us as students have had these traumas of exams and our whole fate being determined by some percentage that we get in our school. And unfortunately, many lose heart because of that accident, if I may call it that. But he did poorly in school, he says, but then in the UPSC examinations, he came first, having mastered whatever it takes to complete that examination and outshine everyone, and you know that thousands of people take that exam. And he came first. And he was then, because he did that, he could get an opt for his home cadre, Kerala. So in 79, he joined the administrative service cadre in Kerala. And again, he was in the news very soon after. He was the district commissioner in Kottayam, and that made international news because it's the first district in the country that was declared to be 100% literate. That's quite a feat. Then it's also got a UN recognition. Since I served in the United Nations Development Program, I would know that as an exemplar of good governance. And then I don't know whether he became famous or notorious. He was in the Delhi Development Authority, and the kind of officer who exemplifies the rule of law. And the rule of law is, one way of putting it is, be you ever so high, the law is above you. And so we had very powerful, influential people in the city of Delhi who had, encroached on land, built illegal structures, didn't conform to building rules, and thought they could get away with it because they were rich and they were powerful. And here was this officer who decided that he will demolish all those structures that violated the law. And he earned for himself the moniker Demolition Man. I mean, he looks very peaceful and friendly, but he was very, very rigorous in his pursuit of that cause. And, a very large number, nearly 15,000 buildings were pulled down by him. And it takes guts to do that. And therefore he was, in 1994, the Time magazine brings out the list of 100 young leaders. But this time it was 100 young leaders who will make a difference to the new millennium. That was what it was. And he was one among those 100 selected by Time magazine. And then he decided to go into public life. Students of public policy, you should think about it, because one of the unfortunate things in our country is that the middle class and the elite, the chattering classes, as some people might put it, think that politics is all dirty, is for scoundrels. And if, well-intentioned people think that politics is for scoundrels, it will be dominated by scoundrels. And therefore, everyone as a citizen has an obligation to take politics seriously and to do something in public life by joining politics, which Mr. Alphonse did. And he won in his constituency, was hailed as the best member of the Legislative Assembly of Kerala when he was in there. And then when he was, it's an example of how Mr. Alphonse is his own man. So he was elected to the LDF, supported by the Communist Party. Then when that ended, he decided to join the BJP because, he felt that this was good for the future of the country. And then he completely surprised top leaders in the BJP who thought he's, a communist supporting member of a Legislative Assembly from Kerala, former civil servant. When he was picked as a Minister of Tourism in the cabinet of Mr. Narendra Modi, people were completely flabbergasted. So that probably shows that there is, be needed people in cabinet with some experience, capacity, and the ability to call a spade, which is what he was. And then he's served in the Rajya Sabha, and among the few members of the Rajya Sabha who made very thoughtful, articulate, emphatic speeches in that house. So we are very fortunate to have him deliver the Arjun Sengupta Memorial Lecture. Professor Sengupta had some of those qualities of calling spade a spade and being confident intellectually about his stand. And so it's very fitting that we have Mr. Alphonse deliver the 6th Arjun Sengupta lecture today. Thank you.
I'm pleased to now invite Mr. K.J. Alphonse, our speaker today, the former Union Minister of India.
Distinguished Vice Chancellor Professor Rajkumar, Dean Professor Sudarshan, Professor Kaveri Haridas, Professor Patnaik, the Registrar, distinguished members of the audience, members of the faculty, and my dear young friends. I'm extremely grateful to Professor Rajkumar for inviting me, and also the General University for inviting me here to deliver this speech. I know very little about Arjun Sengupta. I met him just twice when I was Commissioner of Delhi Development Authority, just 2 formal meetings. I didn't know him too much personally, so I really can't speak so much about him. But I've read a few things about him, and it's really very interesting. He was a very interesting person, an economist, an administrator, a bit of a politician, because he was also a member of parliament, and a man who filled his life with various things. So I think it's in the fitness of things that you have this memorial lecture instituted here. And just a couple of lines on him from tribute paid by one of the people who were his student, Prabhat Patnaik. I'll just read those. Were always fun because he was never intellectually stodgy, never pedestrian, never predictable, never dull, always sparkling, even if irritating, annoying, and infuriating. It is sad to think that a person so full of life, so full of fun, so full of sparkle, so iconoclastic, with a twinkle in his eye, has left us forever. This is from Prabhat Patnaik. I think that is the best tribute that can be paid to a person. And I'm very happy to be at Juntal School. I mean, exactly on the same day, 10 years back, 2013, I was speaking at the Harvard Business School at the same time, actually, yeah, on public policy. So very happy to be here at the Juntal School. I was the only politician in the drafting committee of the new educational policy. So I'm very much part of that, the NEP document. And I'm very extremely happy that something like Juntal School exists. When I was Secretary Higher Education, Kerala, Kerala had only 3,000 seats in engineering, only 300 seats in medicine, and just about 3,000 seats for nursing. And we had 200,000 children from Kerala going to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh to do their professional courses. So I was Principal Secretary Higher Education, and the policy of the government of Kerala has been there shall be no professional colleges in the private sector in Kerala for 40 years. So when I became secretary, I went and discussed with the minister, Mr. P.J. Joseph. He was a very liberal man. And he said, Alphonse, I agree with you, but the problem is, how do we get this through? There is no way, because it has to be discussed in the liaison committee of the left parties, and then by the ministry, and then it comes up in the cabinet, and there is not 1 in a billion chance of the cabinet or the left front approving such a proposal. I said, sir, our children should study in Kerala, and there is an outgo of something like 5,000 crores from Kerala because our children are going out. He said, I completely agree with you, I am with you on this, but then there is nothing I can do. I said, sir, I'll do something very, very stupid, which I have always done in my life. Yes. I said, I am going to issue permission for these colleges. No liaison committee, no cabinet, no minister. I signed the file giving sanctions, and as a result, 200,000 seats have been created in Kerala in the private sector. Defined. And of course, I kept it a secret. When the chief minister came to know, they brought it up, the discussion of the cabinet the next day. They said, I should be suspended. But the minister stood up and said, if you suspend, I will resign and the government will collapse. So I had a deal with the minister. And of course, next day they sent the chief secretary to Delhi, to AICT, to say that whatever permission was given by Alphonse is withdrawn, and you cannot establish such colleges. I knew the chief secretary was going the next day, and I took the evening flight, met the AICT chairman at 9, and I told him this is coming, and I said, you must just ignore. He said, Alphonse, I agree with you, and the colleges were sanctioned. So ladies and gentlemen, there are ways of doing things. When you know that it's impossible to do it, by sheer, just do it. I mean, that is what it is. I like this Nike ad, just do it. Just do it. What happens tomorrow, we will see. What happens? So I'm a huge votary of private education, private universities. So I'm extremely happy that this famous university, Jindal, has come up here. I really credit Professor Rajkumar for establishing one of the finest institutions in the world here. And congratulations to you people. You are studying in one of the finest universities in the world. And that's really absolutely nice. And I also really thank the Jindal family because they put money into this. And very rarely do industries put money into this kind of sectors. And I'm extremely happy that we could have good education here. I'm all about universal education, the right to education. Sorry, I don't agree with that. I go beyond. It's about the right to quality education. Yeah. Hardly 5% of graduates from Indian universities are employable. Why? Because you are taught how to study by heart. The teacher dictates the notes and all of you write down beautifully in school. And then you go to the tuition and in the answer paper you vomit out into the answer sheets what you have learned by heart. And when I was higher education secretary, I met a mother came to me with her daughter saying, my daughter scored only 499 out of 500. I protest. I'm going for a revaluation. That's the kind of thing that happens in schools in India. And I'm extremely happy that Jindal School is about dreams, which is what you find in the introductory of the National New Education Policy, which I was able to put into, and I'm very happy to be here. I'll just tell you one more anecdote about this studying by heart, studying by rote. Hey guys, can you keep your mobile phones off? I have the eyes of a hawk. Even if you wink your eyelid, I know you're done that. You're distracted. So even if there are 5,000 people, I still know. Okay? So just listen to me. Hello? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, because I've taken great trouble to come here. I mean, thanks to Raj, but then it's a long drive from Delhi and back, and I have to get back. So, and you won't see me again, possibly. I don't know. You don't have most often the chances of meeting each other after delivering a lecture like this is very rare. So you might as well use the time now that you are here. So I met this girl who was the topper of class 12 examinations in Kerala. Her picture was all over the newspapers. It was a girl, class 12 examinations. So we organized a massive reception in the VJT hall, which is a big hall in Trivandrum. The chief minister was there, education minister was there, packed hall with the entire media there. And after the function was over, when we came down, I asked this girl a very simple question. Now tell me, what are you going to do with your life? Simple question. What are you going to do with your life? I asked her also in Malayalam, Kuti jeevithathil endu cheyan pova. She thought for a few moments, and then she said, I'll go home, I'll ask my mother and tell you what I'm going to do. Now, this is a state of education in lots of places. And I think fundamentally education has to be about dreams. It has to be about what do you want to do with your life. It has to be about making a difference. In fact, that's the title of my book, Making a Difference. It's my autobiography, published when I was 42. That's crazy, yeah? An autobiography at 42. It's published by Penguin, a leading publisher. It's into Hindi, it's into Malayalam. It's the second largest sold book in Malayalam, 15th edition. So it's not done badly, yeah. So fundamentally, I think that is it, that we just got to decide that we are born to make a difference. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak mostly out of this book, because most of you believe that government cannot deliver, people cannot deliver in India in the kind of situations we are. So I'm going to talk to you very briefly because the time given is half an hour. In fact, my shortest speech has always been an hour and a half. So I had to cut it short to 30 minutes, and then we'll interact, ask questions. I'll be very brief and short. So I'll tell you some of the things which I've done with my life. I will be very autobiographical because I generally don't speak about somebody else. I like to talk about what I have done because that gives credibility to things. If I said Gandhi did this, Abraham Lincoln did this, you will all go off to sleep. It's, yeah, you don't connect, isn't it? So let me start with when I was district collector of Kottayam, that's in Kerala. As per the latest Nidhi Aayog report, Kottayam is the only district in the country with zero poverty. Dr. Sudarshan, did you know that? Yeah. Only district in the country with zero poverty. So I was a district collector. I'm from Kottayam. My wife is from there, and I became the district collector of Kottayam, 88 to 91, almost 4 years. So when I became the collector, I had this habit of having a coffee with people open to the public after dinner in my house. I said, anybody with ideas, please walk into my house after 9 o'clock. We'll have a coffee and give me ideas. So one day we were sitting together, and the publisher of the honor of DC Books, they are the largest publishers in Kerala, came to me and said, Alphonse, why don't we make Kottayam fully literate? Kottayam is already leading in literacy, and so why don't we do it? I said, DC looks very difficult because there is no money, because all this involves a lot of money. Where is the money? And where are the people? We need thousands of people basically to do this. It will happen. So we declared, 1988, we declared that we are going to make Kottayam 100% literate. Literacy is not a fashionable subject. I had to make literacy into a fashionable subject. Literacy is about slums, about poverty. It's not something about which models and the high-end society would ever care about. I had to make it into a fashionable subject. So every day I told newspapers, you have to use the media, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you want to do something, use the media, reach out to people for good things, not only just to have your face on the, up there. Use the media for positive things. So I told them, look here, call all the editors and said, I need at least half a page in your newspaper every day till Kottayam becomes 100% literate. We use the television channels, we use the radio, we just gave out this idea saying that we have this plan, whoever wants to be a volunteer, whoever wants to contribute money, things, books, please come forward. People came forward. You know how many volunteers we got? 14,000 volunteers we had, 14,000. And it was a shameful thing for anybody not to be involved with literacy in Kottayam. The owner of Malayalam Manorama, possibly the richest publishers in India, one of the richest people in Kerala, their owner's wife, she was out in the slums teaching. The richest people, the most educated people in Kottayam who studied in Harvard and Yale and all that, for every one of them, they went down to the slums and taught because not to be involved with literacy was a shame. See how you turn things around. How something that is distasteful, which is not considered to be fashionable, you make it into a fashionable because you sell it as a dream, which is part of a larger dream. So we had 14,000 volunteers joining us. We had all the university students joining us. The NSS of the university was on the forefront of doing things. Mr. Anandamurthy, the famous writer, he was a vice chancellor of MG University. He was deeply, deeply involved with this. And on the 25th of June 1989, we declared Kottayam to be 100% literate. I myself went and taught 2 people in the slums because I didn't want anybody to say, look here, the collector is preaching. He's only preaching and he's not doing things. So ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Whenever you try to sell an idea to people, get involved personally. Do it yourself so that nobody can say, oh, he's only talking and not doing things. So I went down to the slums, I taught 2 people, and I used to go every day. And of course, the newspapers used to come out with stories, interesting stories of people who have, who made such great effort to learn. Of a 97-year-old lady, 80-year-old lady, somebody who's blind. My best volunteer was an 18-year-old lady from the slums itself, Indulekha. She taught 19 people. And she would go home around maybe 1 o'clock at night. And she would be back around 5 o'clock in the morning again to teach, because before people went to work, she had to go and teach them. And evening, of course, she had to wait for these people to be back from the toddy shops and hoping that they would be in some kind of a sanity to be taught. And this Indulekha was there in the slums. And then she taught 19 people. She won the national award in 1990, National Youth Award. And of course, we built her a house, as a tribute to what an individual can do, even the poorest person. And mind you, she was not highly educated. She was a class 10 failed. And then she was a youth icon for everybody, that she can do it. So you don't need to have brilliance. I don't consider myself to be a very brilliant person. Dr. Sudarshan hinted at it when I was doing my 10th board examination. I come from a village. My village was non-electrified. My father was a school teacher with 9 children. I see eyes popping out. Doesn't stop at that. My parents went to the orphanage, adopted 2 more from the orphanage. We became 11. They are a little crazy like me. We became 11 children. And I studied in a non-electrified village, non-electrified school. And when I went to do my examinations, my 10th examination, principal said, ask your father to come. When I went with my father, the principal said, this kid is not going to get through. So let him repeat 1 more year and maybe he can do the examination next year. I said, I can't because I have girls in my class. I can't sit with my junior girls, isn't it? So I said, yes. He said, no. Finally, we parted. Finally, I went and buttered the clerk who was dealing with the application forms, and I managed to slip in my application form. And I wrote the exams. And when the results came, the first miracle in my life happened. I passed with 42%. Massive celebrations in my house, not like that mother whose kid got 499 out of 500 and still was cribbing. Massive celebrations in my house. I don't know what would happen in your homes when you come back with the results. Where is that 1 mark gone? Why can't you look at the neighbor's daughter? She's doing so well, isn't it? It's always the neighbor's daughter. Nothing good happens in your home, isn't it? It's always a neighbor's son, neighbor's daughter who's doing amazing work. Yeah. So I passed, and the first miracle happened. Then I thought, why is this? People call me dumb. They think I'm stupid. I never gone in front of a classroom ever even in my classroom to take part in a competition. Never won a prize. Then I said, sorry. I decided 2-3 things. I said, number one, I am intelligent. Number two, I am talented. I went to university. I got every prize. I taught myself English. I won every prize in the university. So all these talk about, oh, so-and-so is bright, brilliant. So-and-so is dumb. I think all that is stupid. It's unreal. Everybody who is born with more than enough intelligence. He's born with more than enough capabilities. I remember first time when I want to take part in a debate. Learn English, then I said I'm going to take part in a debate. I closed myself in my room and spoke to the wall for 6 months. Your friend would say, you're crazy, you are nuts, isn't it? I did that. And then I came for my first debate. Of course, within a couple of minutes, there was 2,000 people, students, my friends out. They started howling. I didn't stop. Then they started throwing paper at me. I didn't stop. Then they started throwing books at me. Finally, when I finished my speech, I had 250 shoes here on the stage. I could have started a retail shoe store. Didn't do it. I said, no, I want to be a debater. I went back to my room, spoke to the wall again, and after I came back, after a few months, for a long time, got no prizes. Then I started getting tiny little prizes. Eventually, for 3 years, I was the best national debater. For 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, believe in yourself. You have it in you. Don't let your parents, don't let your friends tell you are stupid, you are an idiot, you are good for nothing. I'm better. Don't make friends with such people. Don't. Anybody who compromises your dignity, who puts you down, do not make friends with them. Only make friends with people who enhance your dignity, who say, hey, you are worth something. Okay? Alright, guys? So in that background, back to Kottayam. Literacy done. The Vice President of India came, and of course it became a global event, from Washington Post to the Globe and Times to in Canada to everybody in the world was talking about the Kottayam model. And the government of India adopted the Kottayam model, and the National Literacy Mission was set up, and India has made remarkable progress in literacy over the past 25 years. Remarkable progress. Today it's close to 80%, isn't it? I don't know exact percent. Yeah. When we became independent in 1947, the literacy rate was just 12%. And look at from there where we have come. I think in a democracy, this literacy is most fundamental. To know who you are, to know your rights, to know exactly that you are different from just an animal. What really differentiates a human being from an animal? I think it's very simple. It's the written language which differentiates. Otherwise, animals have intelligence, they are capable of loving, they are emotional. What is it that differentiates? It's a written language that differentiates. And if you are not literate, and what is literacy? It's the ability to use the language. It's just not knowing the alphabets. It's the ability to use the language, write a letter. So these are the fundamental yardstick we laid down, and Kottayam became a trendsetter. Kottayam also achieved a quality of health index, Professor Marks, better than the United States of America in 1990. I don't have a great opinion about the health system in the United States anyway, and therefore to say that it is better than the United States is not saying much, isn't it? You would say, yeah, but 25% of the people can't go to a hospital. I don't think that's a great country. I don't think that's taking care of people. So, but we achieved 100% immunization in Kottayam. We had a lower infant mortality than anybody else, than as good as European countries, which of course European countries have a much higher quality of health index. We had a much lower maternal mortality rate than European countries, and infant mortality. All these things, 100% immunization. The collector worked with the medical community. At least twice a week I would visit primary health centers, government hospitals, inspire them, motivate them, the health workers on the ground, go to the houses. And fortunately Kerala had a fairly good health system. So take that, raise that level. Don't say it doesn't work. It's for the district collector to make make things work. It's for him to get the DMO. Don't say, no, it's not my business. My business is law and order. I only shoot. Sorry, no. You are in charge of everything in the district, so get down to working. So we achieved a quality of health index, which is amazing. Now, let me tell you, what Kottayam has achieved, Kerala will not achieve in the next 25 years. So since we think Kerala is already high up there, but what Kottayam has achieved is something which Kerala would take another 25 years to achieve. So that's the kind of level to which we achieve. So ladies and gentlemen, in India, with a low per capita income, we can still achieve these things if we apply ourselves. But all this involves, ladies and gentlemen, in taking your team along, selling a dream. I'm very good at that, selling a dream. Then another program which I started very strangely. That's the one Dr. Sudarshan was saying, won the highest UN award. One day an 80-year-old lady comes to me, to my house, because I see people in the morning as district collector. She shouted at me. She said, this is my third trip to the collector's house. Where were you? And I can't even come alone. I have to get the help of a neighborhood girl to travel with me in the bus. I have to change the bus thrice. And I came here twice earlier. Where were you? I said, I must have gone out on some work. And then the punchline, like in a movie, she says, the government is giving you a car. Why can't you come and see me in my village? That is the right of a citizen. Imagine the guts of this 80-year-old lady telling the district collector, government is giving you a car, why can't you come and see me in my village? 99% of district collectors would have called the security, thrown her out. What right? How dare you say that, isn't it? I smiled. In the evening, I discussed this with my wife and with my children. They said, it sounds good. You know what we did? I took my entire 2,000 people, administrators in the district, every department, from the boss to the last person, we went down to the village. And I just didn't go down to the village like that. I would pick up a village and I would say, I'm coming to this school 3 months from now, not tomorrow. It involves a lot of preparation. And I say, now you file petition in the panchayat office regarding any department, any complaint you have. We would get 5,000 petitions. Because Kerala panchayats are large, population of 100,000 on the average, 5,000 petitions. And what do? So one day, on the first program, when I was driving back at 12 o'clock at night in front of my collectorate, I saw light there. I went up there and I saw these 25 people, they were sitting down and reading these petitions. I said, who told you to do this? He said, sorry, sir. We decided that if this program has to happen, it can't be that somebody reads the files over the next 1 month. We have to finish reading it in 3 days. And so we took this decision to sit through the night, 25 people and read it. Imagine Kerala, where the trade unions don't allow any work to happen. Where I didn't even tell them. The unions decided, these are miracles happening. Unions decided we'll sit through the night and read. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call motivation. Yes or no? They were all part of me, part of my dream to reach out to people. And then 50, 100 letters, 100 petitions to be addressed to the superintendent of police. I would sign it and say, these are 100 petitions. Please come prepared. I'm giving you 15 days to inquire into these petitions and then come to room number 2. All this is determined in advance. Collector will sit in room number 1, SP will sit in room number 2, and so and so. Next 50 rooms, all to various departments. And I would send these DO letters and say, inquire into this, come prepared to dispose it off. And the direction was very simple. Whatever is asked must be given. You can't say the ration card is ready, come and pick it up from the Taluk supply office tomorrow. No. You have to deliver the ration card there. You have to deliver the land rights record there. You have to give it there. So this was a directive. And therefore, by evening, we start early morning. I would invite all the ministers, all the politicians in the district to be present. Every one of them would be present. And exactly what we did just now, we would begin with just lighting of the lamp. No speeches by ministers, not by anybody. And then we get into work. This would go on till evening. And program would be over by about 8 o'clock. And then comes, it doesn't end. Starting with the district collector, and on his behalf, the additional district magistrate would come on stage and explain action taken on each petition. The superintendent of police come on stage and explain, okay, I got 100 petitions, this is the action I have taken. So accountability. Not that they just come and sit in the room and go. Accountability and explaining to the people in a democracy that this is what we have done. And this program would go until around midnight, and that's when it would end. And lunch would be given by the panchayat. There would be 5,000 petitioners. That means there would be about 10,000 people. The panchayat would provide the lunch, and it was a mela. It was celebrations. Ladies and gentlemen, democracy at work. This won the highest UN award for innovations. Cost no money. No extra money. No government sanctions. And ladies and gentlemen, I never go to the government. Wherever I am wherever I am posted, I am the government. Sounds very arrogant, isn't it? But that's what I am. I don't write to anybody. I don't take anybody's permission. I assume the collector or whoever HR officer wants to take decisions can. Therefore, I don't need to go somewhere else. So this won the highest UN award, and then it became part of the government program in Kerala. When Mr. Ummanchandi became the chief minister again, that was adopted as a statewide program. See, simple. No sanctions, no money, nothing required. You use your existing facilities and then you go back to people. Now, we didn't have a cancer hospital in the Medical College Kottayam, and collector, of course, is the chairman of the Medical College committee. And I said, we need a cancer hospital. Government told me, sorry, I can't give you any money. So I decided, I tied up with one of the magazines in Kottayam, Mangalam, and I said, I'm going to raise money. We're going to have write-up about the cancer hospital in Kottayam to be constructed for 4 issues, and then we will increase the price of the magazine by just 10 pice every issue. And you know what happened? I had 8.2 million people contributing money to my cancer hospital. And we built it in 1 year. 8.2 million people. I don't have half that number of people in my district. People from other districts, they contributed money, and then today, and it became a cancer center, because Travancore side, mid-Kerala did not have a cancer center at all. So look at this. Money is never a limitation. You have ideas. You want to do it. Get people to support you. Sell your dream to people, and then people are willing to do it. Let me go on to, I was collector for almost 4 years, out of which for 3 years I won the best collector award. And in the final year, I got a negative confidential report because the chief secretary didn't like me. He wrote a bad CR against me. That was the year in which the government gave me a car as a gift. They gave me a gold medal as a gift, and then the chief secretary gave me an adverse report in my CR. My dear kids, don't care, don't bother. Don't bother about what is going to be in the report, okay? You do what you think is the right thing. Absolutely. You know, I know officers, I know people who go and hang around their bosses to get a good report. They go and see their wives at home with fruits and nuts and God knows what all they do in the IAS and All India Services. The confidential report is the ultimate report. I couldn't care less. I do what I think is important. I work extremely hard. I produce results. Everybody knows it. I'm getting awards, and then I'm getting a negative confidential report. I couldn't care. Anyway, I will come to Delhi as Commissioner of Delhi Development Authority in 1992 February. I was actually sent off because some of you may have heard about the famous scandalous import of palm oil into Kerala, in which the Chief Minister, Mr. Karunakaran, and 8 IAS officers are accused. They all signed yes, and I said no. So the Chief Secretary hated me, so he sent me off to Delhi, to the Delhi Development Authority as Commissioner. Poor Delhi. So I come to Delhi, and I'm the first South Indian to be Commissioner DDA. So everybody called me a Madrasi. What this Madrasi? What can he do? You know, I don't care what they call me. I couldn't care less. Call me anything. So I mean, now today, actually, Madrasi is not a derogatory term because South India is doing so much better than North India. Therefore, today they have a lot of respect for South India because North India will never reach what South India has reached in the next 50 years. Take it for granted. No, will not. Yeah, you come south and see what is happening in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu and some of these states and the kind of things that's really happening. It can happen, yes. If you have a leader, yes, it can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. It can happen. Overnight things can change, of course, but you need leaders. So I come to Delhi as Commissioner and I said, look here, my job is to enforce the law. Delhi Development Authority has about 125,000 acres of land in Delhi, And I said, let's do a survey, because I knew a lot of land was encroached. And I did this survey, and I found out that about 10,000 acres of land was encroached. And who are the encroachers? Powerful politicians of Delhi. And I said, my target is these 10 guys on the top to begin with. But in India, what happens? Who gets arrested? Who goes to jail? The poor guy who is a pickpocket for 10 rupees, he gets arrested and he is in jail all your life. Professor Marx, you are a human rights advocate. The guy, look at the number of under trials in prisons in India for petty crimes who don't get tried. And here I said, sorry, I don't take on these slums and petty poor people. I will take on the big guys to begin with. And I said, first 10 people, and to begin with, the number one in the list. And who was number one on the list? Guess who it was? The man who burned alive 5,006 in 1984 in Delhi after Indira Gandhi's assassination. He's number one on the list, H.K.L. Bhagat. He said, sir, when I told this to my people, they said, sir, don't touch. You will be burned alive tomorrow evening. 100%. I said, let's see. We are doing it. Now remember this. What is the most important equipment in your body? What do you think? What's the most important equipment in your body? Tell me something. You, hello. What's the most important? If you look down, I'll certainly ask you a question. If you look straight into my eyes, I won't ask. What's the most important equipment in your body? Yes. Brain, okay? Brain, heart. I think the most important equipment in your body is your backbone. When you say she has a backbone, what does it mean? That means she has courage. She's gutsy, isn't it? Yes or no? I think brain, everybody has plenty. Heart, it pumps blood. It's associated with the love. All of us are plenty. But that backbone part, how many of us have a backbone? Frankly speaking, you tell me. Can you raise your hands? How many of you really frankly think you have a backbone? Just raise properly. I'd like to see it. So I said, have the guts. We are going to take on this guy first. So now, next thing is, number one, my dear kids, have the courage to take strong decisions. Do not ever be cowed down by people who will say you would be dead, you will be burned alive. No, don't be cowed down. Have the guts. You will survive. I've survived. Next thing is action. No, sorry. This is where you guys get it wrong next. Take a decision. Next is planning. Plan. You want to get there. Don't jump into it. Sorry. No, wait. Plan. Detailed planning. Now, this is where I get my brain to think. If you think I'm dumb, I'm not. I think, then I take a paper and a pencil, I write down the minutest thing which is necessary for that demolition. Minutest thing. The nuts and bolts are the minutest thing. So on the D-Day, here we are, 10,000 cops on open trucks with guns. Why? Open truck, because I want people to see the force of the state, the strength of the state. Why guns? Why not sticks? I wanted to know that this force which is coming is a lethal striking force. No fooling around. In front of that, bulldozers, not these tiny little ones, massive bulldozers, 25 of them. In front of that, me and my dog, not like this. Open jeep, Stetson hat, gun in my lap, my cowboy boots on my open jeep. And when we land up at Model Town at 5:30, everybody thought Pakistan had invaded India. I said, relax, cool. Over the next 36 hours, we reduced this building. You know what was the size? 200,000 square feet. That's the size of the building. We reduce it to dust. That's where when Professor Sudarshan was saying, he saw the newspaper article saying, the demolition man comes to Delhi, me and my dog together. Over the next 5 years, we knocked down 14,310 illegal mansions in Delhi, not slums. I never touch a poor person. Where would he go? Isn't it? Is it difficult? It's very simple. Even now when I see a building, when I was driving up to Jindal University, I was just looking, nice buildings. Where do I put my bulldozer? So my entire mind is obsessed with bulldozer party, Where do I put the bulldozer to bring the building down, I have these obsessions. I'm a man who is possessed with obsessions. Be possessed. Be possessed with something, my dear children, please, for heaven's sake. Don't live like dead fish, okay? Be possessed. That passion to be doing something, whatever even stupid thing you are doing, do it properly. All right? I do a lot of stupid things. Why not? That's why you're a human being. That's why life is fun, isn't it? Yeah, so we knocked down. I have something like possibly what? I have 10 cartons of writings on me, on my work. 10 cartons. Huge cartons. I have something like 25 editorials in national dailies, and of course a lot of write-up in European, American press, including New York Times and Canadian press and all over the world. But people think, they call me a miracle man. That's what the statement headline says, the miracle man. But am I a miracle man? Is it anything big I have done? Frankly speaking, my dear kids, no. Why am I here to tell you about this? It's because I believe whatever I've done, you can do it better than I did. You can do it better than I did. Only that you must want to do it. That's where your most important equipment has to be your backbone and not your brain. Can we do it? I carried a gun 24 hours for 8 years. I never knew whether I would ever come back home when I left in the morning. So my father called me and said, why are you risking your life? You are even putting your family. My wife went to market under police protection. My children went to school under police protection. My children went to play cricket under police protection. All the slip fielders were cops. Still my wife got beaten up. She was beaten up and left for dead in a pool of blood. But fortunately he survived. She's got a lot of stitches on the head. Very next day we were out again. Nobody is going to cover you down, my dear people. If you say, if they beat you up and then you stay back home, you are taking the defeat. Yes or no? Isn't it? Very next day with all those stitches, everything, we are out there. To be standing here, to be alive is a miracle. But did I do anything more than what is simple? No. What I did is so simple. Very simple. Any of you can do it. That's the whole message. So government can deliver. Who says government can't deliver? Yeah. And mind you, I've had no phone calls from any politician in 27 years in the IAS. No phone calls. Most of you would be saying, no, I don't want to join the civil service because there would be political interference, isn't it? The illiterate politician is going to dictate to me, so I don't want to be in the bureaucracy. Who says that? You allow the politician to kick you, he will kick you. He beat you to death. You don't want to bend, you want to stand up with your backbone and say, sorry, this is my domain. Nobody's going to touch you. And I have a good relationship with politicians. It's not that everybody hates me, no. I have a good relationship with them. Yeah. That's it. Stand up and fight. So it's possible. I go back to Kerala and I become the transport commissioner. We have so many hundreds and thousands of deaths on the road. And I said, we need to do something. You know what I did again? Again, the same thing which I did when I was a collector. I took my entire transport department of the government of Kerala, 3,000 people, went to Kasaragod district, the northernmost district of Kerala. We inspected every vehicle that was on the road, starting at 3 o'clock in the morning till 12 at night. Every vehicle. We went next day, next district. By the time I reached Trivandrum, I had confiscated the vehicles of 6 ministers. I had got a fine of 3.5 crores, which is 35 million rupees fine. Ministers paid fines. Of course, I got the ministers to get a taxi and then I put them on board and said, now go to your office. Don't spare anybody. If you're going to implement justice, get people, whoever it is, even if it's a minister, chief minister, get him. Is it possible? Well, kids, it takes guts. You can do it. What happens if you get transferred? I got transferred. So what happens? You get another job. They can't take away your job, isn't it? So that's how, kids, I became Principal Secretary Higher Education. Look at that. I was thrown out from Transport Department and I became Principal Secretary. And that gave me the opportunity to create 200,000 seats in Kerala, create all the private engineering, medical, nursing colleges in Kerala. So it doesn't really matter whether you are Transport Commissioner or Secretary Higher Education, you have the opportunity. As Secretary Higher Education, I was also the commissioner for entrance examination. Now listen to the story. Generally it would take 3 months for the engineering medical examination results to be published. I went there and at a first meeting with my staff, there were only 24 people. I said, look here, looks like the whole world thinks we are the worst office in the world. What do you guys say? They said, sir, that's true. We have the reputation of being the worst. After 1 week, I told them, let's be the best office in Trivandrum. After 1 week. After 2 weeks, I said, can we be the best office in Kerala? After 3 weeks, I said, can we be the best office in India? After the 4th week, I said, can we be the best office in the whole world? Sharing a dream. I'm there. In 40 years of my life, I'd never been late in my office. No. You as an IAS officer or a senior officer, you cannot preach to people and say deliver and then you come late. Sorry, no, you cannot. You have to set the example. You have got to be there. You can't take lunch breaks. My lunch always has been, my wife sent me the lunch, I have a 5-minute lunch. You cannot take a lunch break and a siesta and then expect everybody to deliver. Sorry, no, don't expect. You are being stupid. Show that you work hard. Show your intention. So I told them, entrance examination papers, you know how I set it? I set it myself. I was the only one. I didn't set it myself, but I was the only one who knew who was setting the question papers, because I would go to them. And you know how do I go? If I have an examiner in Delhi, you know how I reach Delhi? So that you don't want to be caught by somebody who says, okay, our commissioner is I'm taking a flight with him and I will know exactly who is the examiner. Simple, you follow the guy, isn't it? Yes or no? To go to Delhi, I would go to Chennai, change the flight, stay overnight, go to Calcutta, stay overnight, then reach Delhi. Then from there to go to the house of the examiner, I would change the taxi 5 times and then walk down. How many people do that? You tell me. This is called your ability to apply yourself and say, if I'm sitting the question paper, it has to be credible. Nobody should know this. Now it's all delegated. All delegated. Sorry, I do it myself. And I did this for so many examinations. I was traveling all the time, changing taxis, walking, where nobody would recognize. And most of the time I'm in a jeans and a t-shirt. Yeah, ripped jeans and t-shirt. That is my usual dress. Except when I come to a formal, decent place, I have to be decently dressed. That's it. So after the examinations, I called my staff and said, let's declare, generally you guys take 3 months. Let's declare the results in 7 days. Sir, how is it possible? But by then, they were already acclimatized into this whole dream part, isn't it? They were all part of me, everybody working hard. Ladies and gentlemen, we declare the results on the 7th day instead of 3 months. Postgraduate medical examinations. We had the examinations today. Generally, it would take 1 month for the results to be declared. We had the examinations today. We declare the results the very next day. Super speciality medical. Examinations were held in the morning and the results were declared in the evening. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. You can do it. We did it. I bought no new equipments, no new people, nobody. Same people. This is called miracles. This is why people call me a miracle man. I brought nothing into that organization except one thing. I brought a dream into that organization. I shared that dream with people and then we all start working together. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we require. In any organization, not only in government. You must have a dream. You must bring a dream into the organization. Share that dream with everybody else so that your dream becomes everybody's dream and then you get cracking. You can do it. You can do it. Simple. Then what did I do after this? Then I became, yes, I had one interference in my entire job. Let me tell you about that. So after the entrance results were declared, the ministry changed and a minister from Muslim League, he became the education minister. His name was Supi. He called me to his chamber. It's the only incidence of interference in my life. He called me to his chamber. And if you go to a minister's office, you will see also behind his office there is a small little chamber. I call it the chamber of sin. All irregularities, everything is irregular is committed in that little chamber there. So he called me there. When I walked in there, there was a mullah standing there and the minister told me, Alphonse, can you replace an income certificate of this boy, this mullah's child, so that he will become a backward Muslim and he can walk straight into a medical college, because as per ranking he cannot get into a medical college. I said, sir, how can we do that? That will be forgery if I replace an income certificate. He said, Alphonse, only you and I will know. No, nobody else in the world will know. I said, that's precisely why, sir, I am here, so that such things don't happen. Then he insisted again, and I said, sir, you are a criminal, and I walked out. Very next day, who is the chief minister? Saint Anthony, A.K. Anthony. You must have heard about him. Very saintly chief minister. Very next day in the cabinet, this minister brings up the issue and I'm thrown out. Saint Anthony. What is he good for? Yeah, come on, Mr. A.K. Anthony. Yeah, you pretend to be a saint. You are not corrupt, but you are allowing every corrupt element in your government to do what they want. Is this what is leadership? I asked him after that. I was thrown out. I became land use commissioner, basically land useless commissioner. There was not even one file in that office. And my office was slightly smaller than 1/3 of the size of Professor Rajkumar's toilet, my office. Everybody said, you're finished, your life is cooked. Land use commissioner. I said, my God, this is my great opportunity to be an environmentalist, because the land comes there, isn't it? So I'm interpreting it. Nobody gave me the job. I'm saying anything to do with the land is my job. I appropriated the entire environmental issues. I had a rally from north of Kerala to south. It's called a Water Environment Rally. And we had 1 million people participating in that rally. 1 million people. We were on the top of television, lead news every day. I was front page news every day in newspapers for the next 4 years as a land useless commissioner. Can he get rid of me? You can't get rid of somebody like me. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible guy. I'll be there. Then what else did I do? My last job in the government was as land revenue commissioner. Then I quit when I was 52. I would have become chief secretary because I was a topper. I quit and I said, sorry, no. I've done enough. I've shown that things can be done. Now let me experiment with something else. The present chief minister asked me, are you willing to be a candidate? We know you will not join the Marxist Party or Communist Party. Can you be an independent candidate from your own home district? I said yes, and I became an independent MLA on 32nd day with the 4th largest majority. Now you people think, and the media talks about the amount of money that is spent on winning an election. You know what is the total money I spent on my election? 9 lakhs. 900,000 rupees, which is equivalent to $9,000. That is all what I spent on my election to the state senate. That's all. And I completely redefined what it is to be an MLA. I was staying in the government guest house, which was actually the toilet of the Maharaja. So it is as good as a toilet. I was the only MLA in Kerala without a driver, my Scorpio. And I would be out in a tea shop, in a thatched tea shop at 6 o'clock in the morning, so that everybody who goes to work, they can come and see me before they go to work. And then I would start off every day. I would go to a panchayat, predetermined. Again, I would go load the panchayat president and members into my Scorpio, and we would go to a predetermined village where we would spend the whole day. You know, in 5 years, you know how much money I got into my constituency? 350 crores I got into my constituency. 5 times what the chief minister got in his constituency, I got in my constituency. Works. I know you are completing a building in 18 months, a massive building. Time. Okay. I'm just going to stop in a couple of minutes. Okay. All right. You know, you guys are really fantastic in your, construction and the way you guys do. I know a new building is coming up and it's very quick. But in my constituency, the mini collectorate, mini civil station, only 100,000 square feet. That's pretty big. It was given on contract to a contractor, supposed to be finished in 4 years. Government works in eternity, And you know what I did? I'm not an engineer. I'm an economist. I call the contractor, I call the engineers, both ladies, and I said, let's do a reverse engineering. So we started with the foundation, worked how many days to do the foundation, how many populars, we reworked, and we said we can finish this building in 427 days instead of 4 years. I had this plan in my pocket every day. I would visit this place every day after my inspection of the village. And we finished this building and we had a countdown board there saying this building will be inaugurated in 425 days, 424, 423. So everybody was so excited. The people, oh my God, this building is going to be inaugurated and there is a countdown. Exactly on the 427th day, we inaugurated the building. Is it possible? From 4 years to 427 days? Yes, if you want to. Every building in my constituency, every bridge in my constituency was finished in 100 days. 100 days. Again, I have in my pocket what is to be done every day at each of these bridges. One day I went to a bridge near Kajirapalli and the concreting was supposed to be done the previous day and it was not done. So I called the contractor, Madhu. He's a good friend of mine. Madhu, I said, what's your height? Madhu said 6 feet. I said, Madhu, what's your width? He said, for what, sir? I said, I want to buy your coffin. I said, you can't get away. I'll kill you. Simple word. Yeah, when I'm asking for the size of the coffin which he needs, I said, you're dead meat. Next day, of course, he did the concreting. This is be business-like. Don't fool around. Be friends. This contractor is a good friend of mine, but when it comes to business, sorry. If you don't do it, I threaten. And a lot of people take me very seriously. But like when I was Commissioner DDA, when I carried my gun, I said, you move 1 centimeter wrong, and I said, I will shoot you. And everybody knows Alphonse is a crazy guy. They believe me. So be crazy enough, my dear kids, be crazy enough, be stupid enough to say these things and get away. People take you very seriously. Not 1 inch of my land in Delhi was encroached in 5 years, not 1 inch. Because they thought this guy will shoot. Maybe I would have done. I don't know. I have no idea. I got my gun 30 years back, not 1 bullet has been used. And of course I will never use a bullet. I'm a pacifist. I'm somebody who believes in fundamental rights of people. I'll never shoot anybody. I'm a very soft-hearted person. You might think, my God, this Alphonse is a terrible guy. He's got the heart of a stone. I'm a very soft-hearted person. When my cat was killed, when my dog died, I wept for a whole month. I have 6 adopted dogs in my house, all adopted from the street. I had 7, 1 died, blind one. I wept for a whole month. Last week, another big accident happened in my house. My cats and dogs had never seen each other because I lived in the ministerial house, 3 acres. My front portion of my front lawn was for the cats and the back lawn was for the dogs. So they had never seen each other. So last month, one fine morning, the dogs were out and I let out one of the cats, Chu. Her name was Chu. She used to sit in my lap every evening. And of course, the dogs went for her and she died. And I'm still so distressed. So I'm a very soft-hearted guy. I am. I love people. But I believe my job and the job of every person who's got a responsibility is to carry out responsibility to the country. Do it. It's your job. You are born to make a difference. It's not the Prime Minister of India. It's not the Chief Minister, my dear kids. You have to make a difference. Don't say, sorry, nobody else is doing a job. Fine. You do a job. I, a dumb kid, and I don't even consider myself to be very brilliant. I don't even consider myself to be somebody of extraordinary abilities. No, if I can do all this and much more, why can't you do it? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It was a wonderful audience. You were so attentive. I've never seen such attentive audience anywhere in the world. Yeah. My day is made. Yeah. When I have people who are intensely listening to very intensely, some difference is going to be made out there. And my dear kids, get into politics. Don't just do political theory and go and write articles. Don't waste your life. Yeah. Go. Have the courage to become politicians. Say, I will change. There are some people in the parliament, young parliamentarians who've been bankers and all that, who left all that and come and joined here, who are making a huge difference. If you have the courage, go. But do something before that. Don't come, in a nicely ironed shirt into politics and say, like me. Please, go and do something substantial with your life and then come into politics. Tell people, look at me. I've done things. I'm not fooling around. So, be the change agents. Make that difference. This book is a free download on my website. Just click Alphonse KJ. You will go to my website. You will see this book, I've written a second book, Accelerating India, that is not on my website, so you'll see only this book there. Please read it. You will get inspired, I guess. The inspiration from a dumb guy who did a few things with his life. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj and all the faculty members and all the students who've been here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wow, that was an extraordinary reflection of a journey of life. In fact, what Mr. Alphonse did not mention is the fact that the heart of what he has spent his life doing was essentially protecting the rule of law and upholding the work of institutions. In some ways, when you have a society which has abdicated its responsibility towards protecting the rule of law, it becomes absolutely critical for civil servants like Mr. Alphonse to do everything possible to bring that moral compass towards protecting the rule of law. So in many ways, his contributions towards enforcing the rule of law has been a stellar contribution. And I must say that there are many people who have been inspired by his own life, because as he mentioned, there is so much of cynicism surrounding the very idea of government being able to deliver its responsibilities, its constitutional promise, its mandate. And what he has done, and many others as well over the last several years who are in various parts of the government, is precisely to uphold the rule of law. So we're going to throw it open, but I'm going to invite my colleague, Professor Kaveri, to moderate the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now open up for discussions, and before we do that, I must say that Professor Upendra Bakshi has talked about judges who, as you say, have a backbone as insurgent judiciary. Your example actually gives us the bureaucratic version of that, which is an insurgent bureaucracy. So I think that's been a very, very inspirational speech. I think many of us will at least aspire to do something similar in our lives. I open it up to questions, to comments. I see a lot of interest amongst the students. So would you like to say something?
All spellbound, are you?
Yes, so there's one.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So my question for the day is, you said that you should have backbone. In Malayalam, like nattal. So my question is that when you were the education commissioner of Kerala, you told you had introduced 200,000 more courses. But what's like having introduced this many courses and more students applying to these colleges? Do you think, like you also said, that more people are, like less than 5% of the people are skilled enough to be taken into jobs in India? What was the point of like bringing in 200,000 courses and
Seats actually.
colleges?
No, 200,000 seats.
Yeah. So that's my question.
Yeah. So your question is, why start all these institutions if the quality isn't there, isn't it? Yeah, I completely agree with you. But some of those engineering colleges which I started, Rajagiri, Amal Jyoti, today some of the top 5 engineering colleges in Kerala, after the government engineering college in Trivandrum, they figure in the list of in the top 5. Most of them are very, very good. Take for example, nurses. Kerala produces the best nurses in the world, indisputably. Today, the demand for nurses is so much, so acute is the demand for nurses globally, that today, every day, possibly a few thousand nurses are leaving Kerala, isn't it? We are creating opportunities with them. Amazing opportunities. I mean, MBS. Most of them, there are no opportunities in Kerala because of the political situation in Kerala. Industry doesn't come there. There is no manufacturing at all. And I don't see it happening at all. And therefore, the only solution for young Kerala is to study and leave Kerala, frankly speaking. Leave Kerala. And that's what is happening. So as long as we can educate people, send them abroad, give them a decent life so that they can live with dignity, they can make money, and they can also support their parents and their neighborhood, I think that's a great idea. I agree the quality needs to be dramatically different. I was on the syndicate of 5 universities in Kerala when I was Secretary of Higher Education. What is happening in Kerala University is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And all those syndicates and all those councils must be abolished. I have no doubt on this. And you have third-rate people who become education ministers. You are aware, since you are asking, you are from there. This has to change. According to me, the best person, the most capable person must be the education minister, isn't it? Yes or no? Yeah. The most capable person, IAS officer, must be the education secretary. Must be. Now, if you don't have that kind of a thing happening, and Kerala syndicate is all political, you know that, isn't it? The governing body. And you know, Sudarshan sir, you know what used to happen? Item number 50 to 75 is awarding your PhD. Passed. One go. Yeah? All universities in Kerala. I said, sorry, no, this is not fair. No, these are already scrutinized by the committees. All 90% of them are cut and paste, plagiarized. Indian universities, most of them. I'm sure it's not happening in Jindal, but it's happening all across. How do you improve? I think this is where we need. I wish I was education minister. I would change things. I can. It's possible to do it. So first, create the facility. Some of those colleges have really come out very well. Some haven't. So they need to be improved. I mean, you've got to have an altogether dramatically improvement in education, including IITs. Professor Rajkumar, including IITs. I asked a question in the parliament. What is the number of industries that have come up as a result of the inventions in IITs? And the answer in the parliament was a horrible answer. The total product as a result of inventions from IIT is only about 525 crores. That was the answer in parliament. While your entire Silicon Valley is come up because of one university, Stanford University, isn't it? Yes or no? Look at this. So these are our IITs doing a great job. They still need to improve dramatically, according to me. And these can be done. These can be done. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah.
Apparently, the new education.
What's your name, please?
Gunjan.
Okay.
So apparently, the new education policy that is has been national. Yeah.
Yeah.
So according to it, do you think it will help in the MBBS and JEE stuff? Because there are lakhs of students applying for it, and there are only few thousand seats available.
No, I didn't get the question. As per according to the national new education policy.
Yeah. So the policy is about only the high school and stuff, but there are a lot of students who are applying for NEET and JEE in lakhs of numbers, but there are only few thousand seats available.
So her question is, will the national education policy increase the seats?
Yeah, I agree with you.
NEET and JEE.
I agree with you. The number of seats are far too few.
Yeah.
But if you take it this year, take the MBBS seats from around 70,000 seats in medical colleges in 2004. Now we are about 135,000 seats. We have increased it dramatically. PG seats, postgraduate seats in medicine, from about 40,000, we have taken it up to about 87,000 seats. So the numbers are increasing. I agree with you. India needs a lot more seats in medical sciences, a lot more. And of course, more seats in nursing colleges as well. Yep.
According to it, do you think there should be new medical schools?
Oh yes, there should be many more medical schools. In fact, in the parliament, I raised an issue saying, because you see, we have something like how many Indian students are studying medicine in foreign universities? About 50,000 possibly, close to that.
More than that.
In Ukraine itself, much more. In Ukraine itself, we had 20,000 students who came back.
Yeah.
And therefore, I said in the parliament, I met the prime minister also, I said we must have 500 new medical colleges every year. 500. And I said land is available with public sector undertakings. Give the access to land to these medical colleges so we can start this. It's possible. Now, government is created so many seats, but they need to do a lot more. I agree with you. Yes.
And do you think what you did with the Cartium is possible through the entire India, but it is apparently, but like it will take a lot of time.
Not really. Actually, if we are serious about it, if the district collectors are serious, and if the governments are serious, whatever I did in Kottayam can be done anywhere in the country. But of course, Kottayam is far way ahead. So it's going to take some time, but you can make remarkable changes, progress wherever you are. If you are a serious district collector, you can. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good questions.
Thank you. Are there other questions or comments? There are two there.
So, good evening. I'm Rajorshi.
What's your name?
I'm Rajorshi.
Okay.
My question is, you brought up the issue of having a backbone and the issue of demolition. So, bulldozers are in fashion now. My question is, with what is recently happening for a long time in Delhi. So, I think there was even an article when this, for the last time bulldozers were rolling out in Delhi. There was an article which also referred to your time as the DDA in DDA. So, I just want to know what your comments are on this area called the Sainik Farms, which used to be the green lungs of Delhi, which actually, so retired generals of military officers, IAS, IPS, they went and brought their farmhouses there. So many of them which happened to be legal. So any comments on that if you have?
Yeah, you see, demolitions must be as per the rule of law. Not when somebody opposes you, you go and demolish his house. I don't think that's legal. Follow rule of law and establish this exactly is going to do. Why is there be no allegations against me? It's because I follow a certain standard. This is a standard. If you encroach my land, I will do it. Very simple. So follow the rule of law, number one. Number two, Sainik Farms. It's a story of Supreme Court judges, IAS officers, IPS officers, the big moneyed people encroaching, violating the law and destroying the green lung of Delhi and encroaching. Unfortunately, Sainik Farms was not under me. The file went up to the Lieutenant Governor thrice to bring it under me. The file never returned because they knew exactly what would happen if it was under me. Yeah, so it was something which was beyond my control. But I would have loved that to be under my control.
We have another question there. I think that's about it. I think we will wind up. I don't see any other hands.
Yes, please.
Okay, one last.
Good evening, sir. I am Manan. Thank you for your very motivating and insightful speech. Very brief questions wherein we always talk about the bureaucracies and government doing a lot, and they can do a lot, wherein a lot of times we say that they do not. But my question to you is about a dream which every commoner should have, because always talking about maybe a society or a higher class society working is also forcing the higher society to do too much, whereas I believe every citizen has a role to play. So I think what is your thought of what a dream every individual should have to frame a better India and a better world?
Oh yeah, I mean, good question. See, I think the whole problem with India is that we always talk about our fundamental right. Please sit down. Yeah, talk about fundamental right. Don't talk about fundamental responsibilities, isn't it? Yeah, we don't. We want everything from the government. We don't want to do it. Who breaks the law more? It's actually the rich. Who break the law more? They think they have the money. It's a law unto themselves. Who am I? Who is there to anybody to catch them? Isn't it? I think. This country, that sense of a responsibility, a pride in the nation, the fact that that pride has to come from my action, that is lacking a lot. But I see a lot of people at the grassroots level who are involved with various things. I can tell you of any number of really poor people who have nothing, who are really doing so much in the society. In fact, I see people who are poor being more concerned about, feeding the neighbor even if he doesn't have it. Get me? Than the rich person. I mean, the amount of money that is spent on a birthday, on a marriage. When my mother died of COVID, my mother was 91 and she came to Delhi on a visit and she contracted COVID and she died. Let me tell you, most of you would say that 2 years of COVID was a waste of time. But to me, the 2 years of COVID was the most productive time in my life. When my mother died, we set up what we call Mother's Meal as a tribute to my mother. And we said we're going to give meals to people. because a lot of people were starving. And our objective was to provide 1 million meals in 1 year. We started on the 15th of August 2020, and we said in 1 year we will provide 1 million meals. You know how many meals we provided? 5 million meals. And who contributed? Lots of poor people contributed, not the rich. I didn't get any money from the rich people. It's just the ordinary person who contributed. Yeah, like I'm almost broke because I put my money. To me, what is money for? Kids also ask the question. Why? You know, I have only one blue blazer, and that is from my Masuri Academy days. It's 43 years old. When I was a minister, I used to use it regularly. You know the shoes I wear? It's nice. I have only one black shoes. This is 9 years old. I have just one black shoes. But I'm one of the most decently dressed guys in the parliament. Most of my trousers today are grey, but once upon a time they were black. Because they are all 25, 30 years old. Today they are all grey. Come on. How many shoes? How many jackets? How much do you require? For heaven's sake, there's so much of poverty. You know, I never had a coffee in any coffee shop. I have coffee only in IIC because it costs 15 rupees. The other day somebody took me to a Starbucks because I had a discussion in Mumbai as a lawyer. I went as a lawyer. And we were sitting in Starbucks, and when the coffee came, 287 rupees for a coffee, I said, my God, I would rather commit suicide, yeah. That can teach a child for a whole month. How can you do this? My jeans, I have 3 pairs of jeans. Most of them are already ribbed. You know, it's ancient. That's what I wear. I mean, my personality doesn't depend on how expensive a shoe I wear and, you know, how expensive a suit I wear. It doesn't. Yeah. I wish I had brought my blue blazer. It looks absolutely, impeccably clean and neat and nice. So the whole question is, we all need to put in together. We all need to work together. The last person. And generally the last person right on the ground is more kind than the richer people. Are we finished?
There's one last question there.
Okay. One last one, please. Okay.
Good evening, sir. I'm
Good
Abhishek.
evening.
So
What's your name?
I'm Abhishek.
Abhishek, yeah.
So I have a very general question, which you might be more like. I mean, I think you have a very good answer to this. So
No, I will answer everything.
So my question is, how do you ensure that civil service does not have any political clashings? Because we live in a very pluralistic and diverse society. So how do we ensure like anything politically motivated does not get into the way of civil service that's good for everyone?
See, the problem is, you know, by definition, Max Weber's definition of bureaucracy, you got to be a very neutral mechanism, isn't it? That's the whole idea of the bureaucracy. But today, if you take bureaucrats, take UP, is there one IAS officer there who is politically neutral? Take your own state of Haryana. How many IAS officers are politically neutral? I've been religiously politically neutral, religiously. Therefore, this whole thing saying that the politician is responsible for downfall of the country is not true. The IAS has to take the responsibility, the IPS has to take responsibility, all their services. You don't have the guts to stand up. You want to be political because you want to align with somebody because you want to get one of those posts which will give you money. More than half the IAS is corrupt. More than half the IPS is corrupt straight away. So the other day somebody was asking me, what percentage of people are honest, politically neutral and competent in the service? Small percent. But it's so easy to be politically neutral, not to align with anybody. It's so easy to be honest. I can say with a clear conscience, I have not taken a cup of coffee from anybody. I don't. If I take a cup of coffee, I return it. I give it back to you someday. I will call you for a coffee. For my elections, I have not taken any money. So it's possible to have clean politics. It's possible to have clean IAS. And we are paid pretty well these days. Of course, you can't be partying in a 5-star hotel celebrating your birthday. What for? I mean, live like a human being, isn't it? Yeah, good question. Thank you so much.
And now we invite Professor Dabiru Sridhar Patnaik to give us the concluding remarks and a vote of thanks.
It's a wonderful afternoon, and I'm not going to sort of delay the proceedings any further, but I sincerely wanted to thank the leadership of the university and the chief guest, Mr. K.J. Alphonse, for a very, very inspiring lecture. The profound message that I get from this particular lecture and I'm sure as students you all would also sort of extract from this lecture, is that do not think in a linear manner and try to be progressive and non-linear. And that's the experiences conveyed to us by Mr. Alphonse, wherein if you are non-linear and then you are diverse and then you sort of explore different paths in order to describe who you are and what you do with the power of the university degree that you get, and that's what is going to set your path ahead. And for this very profound message and for the empirical experiences shared by Mr. Alphonse, we are so very grateful to you, sir, for your time. And we are also thankful to the School of Government and Public Policy, the Dean and the faculty members and the administrative staff and all the students for your indulgence. And I'm also grateful to all the administrative staff members of the university who contributed to this wonderful program this afternoon. And on behalf of the university and myself, I would like to say that this is perhaps only the beginning, and we are going to have with us Mr. Alphonse more to engage with our students and faculty members. And before we close, I would request the Vice Chancellor to felicitate our chief guest. Thank you so much. All right, the program has ended, and thank you all once again.